this video, we're going to be solving all of our decimal division remainder problems by adding a zero. So we've kind of touched on this already when dividing whole numbers by decimals, but today we're going to finalize that and make sure we understand how to add that zero and how to keep adding that zero if we need to, if we have a remainder. So first things first, I need to remind you that if I have the number 39, that also equals 39 and 0 hundredths or 0 thousandths. These numbers are exactly, if I make sure that's a decimal, not a comma, these numbers are exactly the same. So if I have 240, I can add a decimal and a zero after it, and the number is the same. This is what we're going to be working with when we're dividing and adding zeros. Now, this only works with decimals. But it will work with two whole numbers if your number does not divide evenly. So let's go ahead and jump into these problems. I tried to keep your divisors pretty easy so we can focus on adding those zeros. So let's look at this. 45 and 8/10 divided by 4. First things first, I notice there is no decimal in my divisor because remember, we cannot have a decimal in the divisor. We have to swoop it out. I also notice that my decimal is here. Some of you have been forgetting to bring your decimal up. So let's go ahead and draw our line straight up and put our decimal there. That way we know it is there. All right, let's divide. 4 divided by 4, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Multiply, 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract, 4 minus 4 is 0. If you keep this in a nice, beautiful, straight line, it's going to make it so much easier. Also, I noticed that a lot of you are not putting in your subtraction lines. Please do this. It will help. Go ahead, bring down that 5. 5 divided by 4 is also 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Subtract. 5 minus 4 is, whoa, I almost put 0. See, we all make mistakes. 5 minus 4 is 1. Draw that arrow, bring down the 8. All right, 18 divided by 4. You got to think in your brain, how many times can 4 go into 18? If I count by 4s, I know that 4 times 4 is 16, and 4 times 5 is 20. So it's going to be 4 times 4, because remember, I'm looking for the largest number that's smaller than 18. So 16 is going to be the largest number that's smaller than 18. 18 minus 16 is 2, and I have a remainder. But no, sir, no more remainders and decimals. What you're going to do is you're going to come up here. Remember, there's already a decimal here. We're going to add a 0. That's why I made these lines in your dividend house very long. Bring down that 0. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 times 4 is 20. If we subtract, we're going to get 0. So instead of having 11 and 4/10 remainder 2, I have as my final answer 11 and 45 hundredths. Make sure that decimal is nice and bold so I can see it. 11 and 45 hundredths is my final answer there. Good job. Let's dive into another one. As you can see for this one, we have a whole number, 372, divided by another whole number, 15. And you're thinking, Miss Wilson, this is supposed to be decimal division. I hear you. Just wait. So let's go ahead and look at it. I know that 37 divided by 15, wait, I forgot. 15 can't go into 3. I'm going to go ahead and put my 0 there. Nice and small, but I'm going to put a 0 there. 15 can go into 37 2 times, and I know that because I know my 15s. 2 times 15 is 30. 15s are a good number to remember. And if I need to, I can go out to the side here and say it's 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90. Probably as high as I need to go. All right, so 2 times 15 is 30. 7 minus 0 is 7. Don't forget to always look at this tens place. I know that 3 minus 3 is 0, but some of you, it'll be like 4 minus 3, and you forget to bring the 1 down. That's when it can get messy. All right, now I need to bring down this 2, draw my arrow. 15 into 72. Over here, I can see that 60 is going to be my best bet because it's the largest number that'll go into 72 that's not bigger than 72. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that 15 can go into 72 4 times. Remember, if I go too fast, you can always rewind. 4 times 15 is 60. Part of me wants to go ahead and check that because I think it is, but I'm going to check it. So I'm up here. I'm going to say 4 times 5 is 20. 1 times 4 is 4. There we go. I know it's 60. Always best to double check yourself, even if you think you know your facts. 2 minus 0 is 2. And make sure you do this. 7 minus 6 is 1. Now what? You can't have 24 remainder 12. We no longer do that in 5th grade. Now it has to be a decimal. So I'm going to add a decimal because I know that the number 372 can equal the number 372 decimal 0 or 0 tenths. So we're going to add a 0. We're going to bring it down. Excuse me. Now I have to figure out how many times 50 can go into 170 or 120. So 90 plus 15 would be 105. 105 plus 15 would be 120. There you go. I'm going to double check just to make sure. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to do 15 times 8 just to double check myself. 5 times 8 is 40. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It is 120. So I know that 15 can go into 120 8 times. 8 times 15 is 120. Subtract and you're done. Bring up that decimal point straight up. And if you look right there, instead of having 24 remainder 12, I have 24 and 8 tenths. Beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and do the next one. So for this next one, I noticed this is the type of problem that tripped most of y'all up last Friday when we took our quiz. So remember, you cannot have a decimal in the divisor. You cannot have a decimal outside of the dividend house. So we're going to swoop that decimal in because 8 decimal we know is totally fine. We're going to place a decimal after a 5 and we're going to swoop it over. In order to fill that blank, I have to add a 0. So my decimal is now right here. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up so I remember it exists because some of us forget that the decimals exist. All right, now we're going to say 50 divided by 8. And you're like, Miss Wilson, that doesn't divide evenly. Let's do our 8s. 8, 16, 24, 32, excuse me, 40, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56. Okay, so I know that the largest number that can go into it without going over is 48. And 6 times 8 is 48, so it can go in 6 times. Now we have to subtract. 4, 10, 2. You can't have a remainder anymore, so we're going to add a 0. We're going to drop it down. But 8 can't go into 20 either, so we're going to have to pick 16, so 8 times 2. Because 16 is the largest number without going over. 2 times 8 is 16. 20 minus 16 is 4. Can't have a remainder. Add another 0 and drop it down. 8 into 40. We know that 8 can go into 45 times. 5 times 8 is 40. There you go. So instead of having 6 remainder 2, your answer is 6 and 25 hundredths. Looking good, looking good. All right, let's scroll down. Not that you need to scroll down, but I do. Take a look at these next problems. All right, so we're going to do one of these together. The other 2 are going to be on your own. I'll be nice and go ahead and tackle the more difficult one together because I know that some of us have trouble with big divisors. All right, so first thing you should be thinking is there is a decimal in the divisor and you cannot have that. So we need to fix it. We need to swoop it. As you can see, I can swoop it once and twice. I'm going to do that in pink so you can really see it. Once and twice. So I swooped it to the right twice. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to touch my decimal. I'm going to say swoop once right, swoop once right, twice. Ooh, that was confusing. 1, 2 swoops. My decimal is now here. Go ahead and bring it straight up so you do not forget. There it is. Now we can divide. 35 can't go into 0. I'm going to put a small 0 there. 35 also can't go into 4. I'm going to put a small 0 there. 35 can go into 42. I'm going to go ahead and write my 35s. 105. That looks right. And then 140. Let's stop there and see what happens. I know that 35 can only go into 42 one time, though. 1 times 35 is 35. All right, let's subtract. Can't do that. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Perfect. You can't have a remainder anymore. So we're going to add a 0 because I know the number 42 is equal to 42 and 0/10. It's the same thing. So we can add a 0. Draw your arrow, bring that 0 down. This one's getting a little bit messy. I'm sorry, I'll try better with the next ones. Try to keep yours super neat. 35 can go into 72 times. 2 times 35 is 70, and we are done. So my answer, instead of being 1 remainder 7, is 1 and 2/10, and that's how you decimal division. All right, these next two are going to be on your own. Let's tackle this one first. 32 and 6/10 divided by 4. 32 and 6/10 divided by 4. Go ahead and try it. All right, for this one, you should have noticed there is no decimal in the divisor, so you can go ahead and get started. I know that 4 can't go in. I'm going to go ahead and bring my 0 up. Did you bring your 0 up? Bring it up. Bring it up. There it is. 4 can't go into 3. I'm going to put a little tiny 0 there. You might have written your 4s over here to the side. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. Beautiful. 4 can go into 32 8 times because 4 times 8 is 32. Now let's go ahead and subtract. We know that 32 minus 32 is 0. Bring down that 6. Don't forget to bring down the 6. 4 can go into 6 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. 6 minus 4 is 2. So right now you're like, okay, my answer is 8 and 1/10 remainder 2. No more remainders. We're going to add a 0. And let's review. We know that 32 and 6/10 is the same as 32 and 60/100. So I can add a 0. I'm going to erase that so it doesn't get confusing though. I like to kind of jot all over my papers and it's kind of messy in case you haven't noticed, but we're going to do better. Bring down that 0. Draw your arrow. Arrows are fun. We can color it in. 4 can go into 20, or 20 divided by 4 is 5. Because 5 times 4 is 20. I hope you know your 5s. No remainder. So my answer is 8 and 15/100. If you did not get 8 and 15/100, I want you to compare your work to mine. Circle where you went wrong, and then fix it. If you need help discovering where you went wrong, please raise your hand and ask. I will come help you to see where you went wrong, and we can fix it together. Let's go ahead and try this last one. 9 divided by 1.2 before you get started. Remember, you cannot have a decimal in the divisor. And if you move a decimal in the divisor, you have to move it in the dividend. Don't forget. All right, for this one, you have a decimal in the divisor. Cannot have that. So let's swoop it out. Swoop once to the right. Get it out of there. Your 1.2 becomes 12. Now I'm going to add a decimal after my 9 because you can put a decimal after any number. Did you hear that? Any number can have a decimal after it, and it doesn't change the number. Put a decimal and swoop it once. Add your 0. Bring that decimal up so you don't forget it. Now we've got 90 divided by 12. So I know it's 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, 72, 84, 96. We're already over 90, so we should probably stop. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to make sure that 12 times 7 is 84 just to make sure I didn't mess that up. There it is. Beautiful. So 12 can go into 90 7 times because 12 times 7 is 84. Now let's subtract. 10 minus 4 is 6. So you're like, oh, 7 remainder 6, I'm done. No, you're not. You have to add a 0 and drop it down. 60 divided by 12, I know that is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Beautiful. And 5 times 12 is 60. So my answer is 7 and 5/10. Make that decimal really big. If you did not get 7 and 5/10, find out where you messed up. Raise your hand. I will help you. And it's time to move on to classwork. Great job.